The purpose of this video is to provide instruction on gathering accurate information relating to the size and cleaning requirements of buildings, and then filling out our bid worksheets with the data collected from a walkthrough. A lead is extremely valuable. On average, you only have a shot at a job every 7 years, so make it count. Every walkthrough you go on will play out a little differently, so you want to make sure you are prepared for all possibilities. Most of the time, the contact person will just ask you what you need to see. Suggest that they give you a tour of all the areas that they want included in the bid because you will need to measure them. But sometimes the account contact will want to sit down with you in the conference room and talk with you for a while. When this is the case, try to answer any question they have as thoroughly as possible. The contact person that you'll meet with likely doesn't know much about the janitorial industry, but they will still have a certain expectation about what they want to hear from you in terms of sales points. Let them know that you have low worker turnover and how that benefits them. Tell them about your system for training your cleaners. Tell them about your system for checking on your cleaners, and let them know that you don't just turn them loose and hope for the best. Assure them that they can contact you personally if they ever have any special needs. Let them know that you are insured and bonded. Explain how and why the bid that we give them is specifically tailored to their facility. Run down the range of cleaning services you offer: general cleaning, carpet cleaning, tile work, etc. On the initial walkthrough, avoid talking about any aspect of your business that is unconventional. We have found that our contractors with the highest job landing percentage simply present their services as competent, professional, service-oriented, and conventional. How should you dress? Dress in acceptable professional business attire. Some regions of the country have a more casual dress code than others, but you will never lose out on a job because you were overdressed. As a standard, think about what would be worn by a salesperson at a luxury car dealership. Our only request is that you don't wear jeans, a t-shirt, or tennis shoes. There are two parts to our bidding procedure: the bid worksheet and the walkthrough. The bid worksheet communicates all the information that you gathered on the walkthrough so we can analyze the particulars of a job and prepare a descriptive and accurate proposal. Properly filling out the bid worksheet is just as important as getting good measurements. The bid worksheet that we use is 3 pages. The first page deals primarily with basic company information: date, contact name, business name, address, telephone numbers, email, and frequency. Be sure to double-check the spelling of the contact's name. It is hard to make the case that we really understand their service needs if we make careless mistakes like misspelling their name. Then there are a series of yes or no questions pertaining to the range of service they will require. We use the information from these questions in our list of specifications and need each question to be answered accurately. For example, if the account has area mats, you would circle yes. If you circle no, we won't include the item in the specifications. If you forget to circle either yes or no, the default will be no, so make sure you make a selection. There is also a box for special project work. While most companies only do project work upon request, projects can have a hefty impact on the bottom line. So be sure to ask if they want carpet cleaning or resilient floor work included in the monthly charge. At the bottom of the first page is a box for general comments. This is the area that you can convey any miscellaneous information about the bid. For example, they may want it done after 9 p.m., or they supply all the equipment and supplies. There is extra walking time to go from the main building to the warehouse offices. This box is where you communicate any detail. Here is an example of the first page of the bid worksheet filled in. The second page is where you begin entering the data you collected from your measurements. The bid worksheet is organized in the order that you typically move through a building. You start out in the entry area, move on to the waiting reception, then private offices, general offices, conference rooms, and then lunchrooms. Note that in both the entry box and in the lunchroom kitchen box, there are more yes or no questions. There are also a few questions regarding the quantity of sinks, microwaves, refrigerators, tables, and chairs. Please get an accurate count for all these questions, as it takes much longer to clean a lunchroom with 8 tables than a lunchroom with 1 table, even if they are the same square footage. Here is a look at the second page, filled in. The third page is for hallways, stairs and landings, conference rooms, restrooms, and miscellaneous areas. The need for accurate information in these areas can be the most critical. Restrooms take on average 3 times longer to clean than general offices of commensurate square footage, and stairs can take 4 times longer. Bad measurements or inaccurate data from these areas can have a significant impact on the price. In each restroom, we need to know if and how many sinks, toilets, urinals, fountain sinks, stalls, and showers they have. At the bottom, there is a box for miscellaneous areas. This is where you record any areas that aren't specifically addressed in the other parts of the bid worksheet, such as training room, laboratory, showroom, shop foreman's office, accounting, human resources, or shipping office. If ever in doubt, just write it down. It's much easier than going back out to the building a second time to get a missing measurement or detail. Here is an example of the third page filled in. While these are standard names by which these areas are commonly referred to, you are not restricted to these. Our goal is to make the bid feel personal and specific to their facility. So if they refer to the lunchroom as the commissary or break room, or if they call a particular office the CFO's office, put that in your notes and we'll incorporate that into the bid. For each area, we are looking for a length by width measurement, as well as a floor type. Be specific with the floor type. Don't just say tile, because we don't know if that means vinyl tile, ceramic tile, slate tile, or quarry tile. Detail is the key. The second part of the bidding process is the walkthrough. The most effective way to get measurements is a rolling measurer. So if you don't have one, make sure you get one before your first bid, because you will need to get the dimensions of every area the client wants included in the bid. Never be afraid to walk into offices or through cubicle areas to get the information you need. If someone is in an office you need to measure, just politely ask if you could grab a quick measurement. Most of the time, they won't even ask what it's for. The reason accurate measurements are so important is because without them, you're just guessing. If you go through a 3-story building that has a slew of shop offices and you approximate the cleanable square footage at 30,000 square feet when the actual square footage is 27,000, our bid will be 10% too high and we will not get the job. If you're off by 10%, you don't just miss out on landing 10% of your bids, it will mean you miss out on 90%. The contractors that we work with who get good measurements consistently land more jobs than those who don't. Good measurements help us to price an account accurately, but it also shows the contact person that we are giving them a bid that is specific to their facility and not some prefabricated paperwork. It's likely that the account will be getting several bids, so by taking extensive measurements, you will stand out from the competition. When we bid an office, we are not just looking for the total square footage. Because every different area in an office has distinct cleaning needs, we need to get measurements for each different area. As an exercise, we will go on a virtual walkthrough in an office that has a fairly simple layout. When you first enter, you want to get a length by width measurement of the entry, then get a length by width measurement of the waiting area, and then the reception area. If possible, measure all of the hallways together. It can be hard to remember where you left off last if you're measuring one section at a time. The next area we will look at includes a break room, and a general office area with a bunch of cubicles. Measure the break room first and take note of its layout. Mark the bid worksheet as to whether or not the break room has sinks, counters, tables, chairs, microwaves, or refrigerators. As for the general office area, you will need to use 2 separate measurements to determine the full square footage. Now we move on to measure the conference room, the production manager's office, and the sales offices. The conference and production manager's office are simple length by width measurements. Again, it is important to use the terms they use. So if they call the conference room a boardroom or a training room, make sure to note that in the bid worksheet. As for the sales offices, you only need to get 1 length by width measurement of the area, even though there are 2 desks. The same is true if you have several private offices of the same depth in a row. You don't need to measure these one at a time. Simply get the length of one and then measure the width of all 3 together. The same goes for restrooms if there are 2 of them together. As for the manager's office and the executive office, you'll want to get specific information for each. Because you never know who in management will be involved in choosing the cleaning service, it is always a good idea to give special consideration to the offices of managers and executives. Make sure you get all your measurements in an area before you move on to the next, and avoid backtracking as much as possible. Ultimately, we compile the area names, floor types, and square footage from the bid worksheet you filled out on your walkthrough into the areas to be cleaned. This feature in the bid serves 2 functions. First, it shows the contact person at the account that our bid truly caters to the needs of their building specifically. And second, it prevents confusion down the road as to what areas were included in the bid. In other words, the account cannot throw in any additional areas and claim that they were part of the initial bid. There are many factors to consider when figuring out the time it takes to clean a given facility. If any of the information we receive is incorrect or vague, our chance of getting the job diminishes. Here are a few common oversights to use as a check-down list before submitting the bid worksheet. Does the worksheet have complete information about the company name, contact, address, telephone number, and frequency of service? Are all the details specifying spaces checked yes or no? Is the floor type specified for each area? Carpet, vinyl tile, ceramic tile, quarry tile, sheet vinyl, terrazzo, epoxy, hardwood, studded rubber, cement, etc.? Is there adequate information about the fixture count and the tasks required in the restrooms and lunchrooms? Is there any miscellaneous information about the bid that would add or detract from the time it typically would take to do a job of similar size? Is there any routine floor work or project work that needs to be figured into the bid? As with any business pursuit, time is important. The speed that we get the proposal back to the company has a direct effect on the impression we make and the chance we have in obtaining their business. As a general rule, we like to have the information from your walkthrough within a day of the appointment. Time is money, so it is important that the information we receive is correct and timely. In summary, dress appropriately, get accurate measurements, fill out the bid worksheet completely, and enjoy the satisfaction of watching your business grow.